All praise is due to Allah Almighty, and may Allah bestow His peace and blessing upon our Prophet Muhammad, the son of Abdullah, his household, his companions, and those who follow them with piety until the day of judgment. Dear brothers, thank you all. I'm grateful that you accepted our invitation. It is good of you. Inshallah, we are going to get the opportunity to listen to our new brother, Sir Bilal, the American. So I wish that you remain silent until the end of his story. Then you will get the chance to ask him whatever you want. There is a chance to ask questions in the end of his speech. Thank you very much, and we request our brother Bilal to start his speech.
شكرا. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. I'm very happy to be talking to you today. Brother Abdullah asked that I describe my experiences, and as a new Muslim, mashallah, I accepted Islam only in May of this year, so 7 months ago. And many Muslims ask me all the time, and they talk to me all the time, want to know what my experiences are like. And the most important question they ask me is why? Why did you? And a short answer and a long answer. The short answer is La ilaha illallah wa Muhammad Rasulullah. Short answer, khalas. But of course, there's more to it than that. Of course. So it is a journey that I went through to become Muslim, mashallah. And it really begins when I was in the United States, because of course I was Christian before. And to understand, I like to go back to when I was a child. I was of course raised a Christian. And I like to describe the journey as, now things I know now, I would describe it as from fitrah, away from fitrah, and back again to fitrah. Right? And of course, born into a Christian family. My parents brought me to church, as most parents do in America. And I would describe my experiences with church at a young age as never really feeling comfortable or accepting things. And at a young age, you don't know why. You don't understand. 5, 10, you don't know. You just don't know. And mashallah, when I was old enough, my parents stopped trying, and they said, fine, you don't want to go, fine, you don't have to go. And I stopped for a long time, 20 years. I did not go. But I always had what I called then is faith. Is faith and belief in our Creator. I always had that, but it was always in here, but never went to church. Because once again, I didn't feel comfortable there. I didn't know why. Now I do. Now I know why. So fast forward, as they say in English. I was lucky enough to get the opportunity to move to the Emirates because of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I think now. I met my friend who is now my mudiri in the US, who had a company here, not here, in Dubai. And mashallah, he offered me a job. I had never left the United States before, which is a problem for Americans, because Americans don't travel like other people do in the world, which is a problem we can talk to about later on, about the closed-mindedness of Americans. But for now, let's leave that. And so I arrive in the Emirates, and I see all these people, these Muslims, wearing different clothes and appearing to be so devout and serious about their religion. And I was curious. And of course I had heard about Islam in the US, of course, because there's many Muslims in the US. But in the U.S., the Muslim population is in small pockets. Translation, please, if it's difficult. But small areas, big cities, New York City, Los Angeles, all big cities. Where I'm from, it's very small city, small part of the country. So there were no Muslims. So the only exposure that I had to Muslims was through TV. And as you know, the media in the United States is not accurate in a lot of ways, as we all know, and oftentimes negative against the Muslims. No, not always, but oftentimes it is. But when I was here, I was curious about Islam, so I started to think about it. Because I knew I had faith, I had deep feeling about our Creator, but I knew that through my life I had never had an outlet, a correct path. Now that I know there are many paths, I was on the wrong path. Okay? Searching for the right path. And one day I approached a gentleman, Muslim, Sadiq from Masr, who was working one of those charity booths for Bet Al Khair. I don't know if they have it in Yemen, but in Emirates it's a Bet Al Khair, it's a charity organization. I had pamphlets to pass out. And I walked up to him, I said, hello, what is Islam and what can you tell me about it? Of course he was busy, this wasn't his job to teach me, but he had pamphlets for me and to give to me. I took them home, and one of the first ones was, it's very common, it's the one that talks about science and Islam. It's a very common one, I forget the name of it, but it talks about what we talked about today, the embryo, the scientific things. So I set that on my desk in my apartment. I read through it, I said, wow, this is interesting. I became more curious, it's interesting. But I set it aside, and some time went by, maybe a month. But I said, I need to learn more. Books are good. Books are very important for me, for everyone, but it takes more. It takes talk, I think, and communication. So then I visited a place, a center for new Muslims. مثل حدا, this, like this. It's called Al-Fardus in Sharjah. And I will never forget. I was nervous about going in. Because, I don't understand the culture and the people. Because at that time, brothers, I did not know that Islam was for everyone. I assumed that Islam was for Arabs. I really did. I didn't know. So I went in. I remember being nervous, and I walked in, and my friend Muhammad Sharif said, "Assalamu alaikum. Come on in." So I said, okay. He sat me down, and we talked. And I had some questions. I said, talk to me about Islam. Just very basic, and he didn't pressure me. He didn't talk too much. Didn't try to overwhelm me with too much information. He gave me more books, and I took them home. And before I left, he told me. He said, I want you to do 3 things for me. He said, I want you to think, I want you to read, and I want you to pray. I said, okay, I can do that. Okay, As-salama. And then I left. And then, so time went by again. I took his books, I read them, I was thinking more and more and more. Maybe a couple more weeks, 2 weeks, and then I went back again. And I had more in-depth questions. What are the requirements of Islam? What's this 5 times a day praying stuff? Tell me about that. What is that about? It seems like a lot. And of course he says, my friend, it may seem like a lot, but mafi mishkil. Don't worry about it. It becomes easy. The most important thing is belief in Allah, belief in God. And I left, and he told me the same thing again. He said, don't forget, my friend, to read, to pray, and to think. I said, I did it, and I will do it again. And so I went home, and then soon after that, I met another friend of mine, Bilal. a friend from the Emirates. Very good friend of mine now, very close friend. He invited me to masjid. First time I went to masjid, he brought me in. He said, come and pray. I said, I don't know how to pray, I'll just watch. He said, no problem. Sit in the back and watch us pray, no problem. And I walked in and I remembered from my childhood what a church looks like. And there was a stark contrast, you know, in everything, and how it looks. Churches there. Now, of course, there's seats and there's pictures and there's confusing, complicated things. A masjid is simple. Masjid is simple. And just when I saw what a masjid looks like, it was like I felt comfortable. And then my friend sat me down after, I think it was Ba'ad al-Maghrib, but I don't remember. He sat me down and he spoke excellent English, better than my English. And he said, he told me the most important thing that ended up being the most important thing. And he didn't use the terms, but what I know now them to be was tawhid, Islamic monotheism. And he said, do you believe in God? Of course. Do you believe in God as our creator? Of course. Then, does it make sense that he should be the only one that is worshipped and praised? Period. I said, of course. And he said, brother, then you should be a Muslim. Because that is the basis of our belief. And I said, really? I said, well, I was surprised. But then he started to talk in more detail about, and later on I read, of course, about how the Christian religion claims, if you ask a Christian who is maybe not that knowledgeable, you will ask him, he believes La ilaha illallah, of course. Rububiyyah, right? Rububiyyah, he believes in Rububiyyah. But the difference is uluhiyyah, correct?
Yes.
Am I saying that? Yeah. That is the difference. And that for me is, tawhid falls under, is the encompassing thing of those two. Two of the things under tawhid for me of those. And that is what it was, brothers. Is that conversation with my very good friend who explained those things to me, and he said, why is it, how can it be possible if there is only one creator who we give, who is the sustainer, the creator, who is everything to us and more? Why can we attribute partners to him in any way? How? How can we, the Greek Orthodox or any religion, how can they worship saints? How can they have symbols that they wear on the neck and they kiss and Jesus, Isa, very important. Big pictures, statues of Jesus on the cross, and they worship it. And I grew up with those images in my mind. Jesus is to be loved, and of course he is. Of course he is, but not in the way that they were loving him. Different, wrong.
Yes.
Just because in saying that, of course you know this, but in saying that Jesus is the Son of God, you are denigrating God, I think. You're giving him an equal. We love Jesus, I think, more than the Christians, I think, because we truly understand what he was in reality. So, where was I? Al-Fardus. So I finally go back and I call my friend Muhammad Sharif and I say, Muhammad, I've thought deeply, prayed deeply, and read a lot. And there is no doubt in my mind that I am already Muslim because I believe everything that a Muslim believes. I've been waiting my whole life to find the correct path to follow. The fitrah, right, is back, and I was ready. And I went to Al-Fardus in Sharjah,